Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Tuesday, NTI Day. Since we're reading biographies with reading these next 2 weeks, I chose a book about Helen Keller. When I was in 3rd grade, my librarian read a story about Helen Keller, and it fascinated me, the fact that she couldn't hear, couldn't see, and yet learned to communicate. I've always been interested in her, and maybe you'll think her story is interesting too. Young Helen Keller could not hear or see, yet she helped many people in her amazing life. Helen was born in Tuscumbia, Alabama on June 27, 1880. She was a happy, healthy baby. But when she was almost 2 years old, Helen became very sick. In time, Helen got well, but her illness left her deaf and blind. Helen felt all alone in a dark and silent world. Because Helen could not hear, she also could not talk. She had no way to tell other people how she felt or what she thought. Helen did not know other people had feelings. She often hit or kicked other children. Once, Helen even pushed her baby sister Mildred out of her cradle. Helen's parents knew Helen needed help. They took her to see Dr. Alexander Graham Bell. Today, Dr. Bell is remembered for inventing the telephone, but when Helen's parents came to him, he was running a school to help people teach the deaf. Dr. Bell said there was a special way deaf people could talk by making signs with their fingers. He told the Kellers how to find a teacher to help Helen. When Helen was 7, a woman named Sullivan came to live with the Kellers. She would change Helen's life. Annie knew what it was like not to be able to see. She had been nearly blind when she was a child. She had 2 operations to save some of her eyesight. Annie began teaching Helen right away. She gave Helen a doll. She spelled D-O-L-L in Helen's hand. Page your turn. Every day, Annie spelled words into Helen's hand. Helen learned quickly, but she did not know she was making words. She still could not talk to people. Annie and Helen had many fights. Annie wanted Helen to obey her, and Helen did not like this. Helen was used to doing what she wanted. Her parents felt sorry for her. They never punished her when she was bad. At mealtime, Helen ate with her fingers and grabbed other people's food. Annie made her use a fork and spoon and eat her own food. Annie treated Helen just like any other child, and every day Helen behaved a little better. One day, Annie took Helen out to the water pump. While water poured over one of Helen's hands, Annie spelled W-A-T-E-R into the other hand. Suddenly, Helen understood what words were. Her life would never be the same. Helen learned to read and write in Braille. In Braille, words are printed in raised dots that blind people can feel or read with their fingers. She also learned to lip read by touching people's faces. And when she was a teenager, Helen even learned to speak. When Helen was 20, she did something that many people thought was impossible. She went to college. Annie went with her to help her study. Helen spent her life helping blind and deaf people. She gave speeches and wrote many books. Helen Keller died on June 1st, 1968, but people all over the world still remember her courageous, helpful life. You all take care, enjoy the rest of your day, get your work done, and give me a call if you need anything. See ya.